I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Our focus this week is on a special program coming to Missouri Southern, word of a grant received this semester. And joining me are Dr. Holly Hackett and Dr. Ayla Schmick from the Psychology Department. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
In October, we had a news release. People saw on the news that there's some new funding to help develop a new program at Missouri Southern. So can you give me some background, just in general terms, what we're talking about today?
So the grant came from the state of Missouri. The grant came from the state of Missouri in response to COVID. They had some CARES funds, and higher ed institutions could apply to receive a grant to expand child care services. So we have been working on trying to build an applied behavior analysis program and clinic, and this kind of fit perfectly for the program. So we got together and applied for the grant and was awarded it.
Great. So this is funding from the state to help you develop a program that was really kind of in the dreams or the future goals.
Yeah, and what's nice is that it worked perfectly with what we already have established here with the Lion Cub Academy, and so we were able to really focus on that expansion portion of it because the Lion Cub Academy is already serving, I think, almost 108, almost 120 individuals in our community, and so by expanding these services now, we can include more individuals who maybe have different diagnoses or different problem behaviors that we can then address utilizing applied behavior analysis, as well as just renovating the old Taylor Hall to kind of create a new center, state-of-the-art center of excellence for these kiddos.
And for background for our viewers, a few years ago, we called it the Child Care Center, was located in Taylor Hall. Then they moved across the street, basically, and started the Lion Cub Academy. So this is utilizing the space that they vacated years ago, tying this together.
Yes, and that's what's great about this is that that space was already dedicated to a child development center, and so the bones are already there. We just now get to go in with this grant money to renovate it all and kind of just modernize that space to be able to hopefully have kids coming in to receive those services in the next year.
Great. Well, I know when you apply for grants that you have to do a lot of preparation. Tell me about the behind-the-scenes work. I'm sure department chair, faculty members, deans, a lot of people were involved in putting this together at Southern.
Yes, it was a collaborative effort. I think that we had a bit of upper hand in that we had previously applied to a MoExcel's grant. So we had the basis of the grant already written, and then it was really more adjusting it to fit the vision of the grant.
So the CARES funding had some specific requirements you had to adjust or adapt to providing that.
Yeah. And what was great too is that it was Holly, myself, Dean learned a Hackett, as well as Nikki Tapana from the LCA. And so it was great because I could come in with the behavior analysis portion. Lorinda and Holly already had the experience of applying for a grant, and then Nikki then gave us the component of what does it mean to be a child development center? What kind of different components do you need, certifications, things like that. So it was really nice that we had this team approach that then everyone had their own kind of special input that helped make it go so smooth.
So this is going to benefit new youngsters, new youth in the community, children in the community.
Yeah, we're hoping that with this we can expand to individuals who have an autism diagnosis, as well as those who maybe exhibit problem behaviors or certain challenging behaviors, as well as just anyone who's in that kind of adolescent, younger child age that maybe have some sort of mental health disorder that don't have quality resources right now, and we're hoping that we could be that for them.
Well, you mentioned resources. I imagine a lot of work went into just verifying for the grant and for the government that there's a need in our community. Tell me about the need that we face here in Southwest Missouri.
The need is striking. When we've partnered with the Leffen Center in the past to allow our students to have practicums, and whenever we talk to the Leffen Center, they have waiting lists of 400 plus kids that need services, and the waiting list can last 1 to 2 years. So there's a demand for the services in the area. Yeah.
So it's helping to meet those needs and to help youngsters who aren't getting services otherwise.
Right, and especially with some of these diagnoses of like autism spectrum disorder, the earlier you can intervene, the better chances that individual has of leading a successful independent life. And so really, I think the more service providers we can get in this area to help address those big wait lists and those long years that individuals have to wait, the better chances we have for those individuals in our community to really thrive.
You mentioned early, how young can children be involved in this program? And what ages would you see you starting with?
When we put in for a grant, we're saying from ages year 1 and all the way up. Yep. Yeah, and we're hoping specifically as we begin this program, we're going to be focusing on ages 1 through 6.
Right.
But as we progress and kind of expand our services, eventually we want to get up to also working with older individuals who are maybe in their 20s, maybe up to 21, so that we can really also work on those independent living skills and vocational skills and things like that.
So it has opportunities for growth in the future that you see the program developing and tying that together. Well, let's talk a little bit about, you say, the autism spectrum. For people who aren't familiar with the terminology, kind of explain that for the audience. What are we looking at?
So with that, we're looking at individuals. Mind you, you have to be diagnosed from a primary care provider. Usually it's a physician. And it's looking at individuals who maybe have a difficult time with social or emotional development, as well as possibly even cognitive development. And looking at, sometimes you see a lot of social impairments and talking with others and eye contact, things like that, as well as just maybe having a hard time learning. And so working on those basic skills of how do you learn? How do you go about this rather than just teaching those skills individually? How does that individual learn to apply it to these different areas of their lives? And so that's really what we're looking at. And mind you, it doesn't need to be anyone who has that autism diagnosis. That's just one of the individuals or kind of group of individuals we're going to be able to expand our services to.
And Dr. Hackett, this sounds like it's something that you can really work, I would say, one-to-one or with the individual children as well. It's not a group thing. You're going to be able to work with the specific needs.
There will be both, yeah. So the clinic is going to be set up where we both have individual therapy as well as settings where there can be group therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So your background being in behavioral analysis, tell me a little bit about how this really intrigued you, this possibility. I mean, coming here to Missouri Southern, why this?
Well, I love working with kids. That's hands down one of my absolute favorite things of coming into this field. Plus, I just love behavior analysis. I mean, it is truly life-changing what we do. And so to be able to bring those two together and bring it here to Joplin, I'm just over the moon. Because not only, one, because I enjoy that aspect of that clinical portion, but this provides such an opportunity for our students that I know my background is actually in kinesiology, and I actually didn't get into this field until I started working with Special Olympics. This wasn't until I started working with this population that this passion grew inside of me. And I want that opportunity for our students who maybe have never thought of behavior analysis. Like, what is it? What can they do with it? And having this clinic, having this opportunity will address just that. It gives them this advantage of being able to get into this clinic setting, work with individuals, variety of ages, variety of diagnoses, variety of skills, to then see what is their passion, what is it they want to do with their lives, and how do they move forward with it then.
Great. So this is really an effective expansion of programming for your department.
It is. That's where it started. We knew that there was a demand to have credentialed individuals in the community. So we started with partnerships with local organizations to get our students practicum hours that they needed to get certified. We offered 2 years now our very first ABA course with a partnership with Leffen. And from there, we've built multiple courses, and then we were able to hire on Ayla, who's now going to be the instructor of those courses. So yeah, we have one certificate that's in the books for our students to get credentialed at the lower level autism certificate. They can get the registered behavioral technician certificate, and then we're in the process of proposing a second certificate, which will be the upper level applied behavior analysis certificate, which will hopefully, with the practicum hours, get our students registered as the, BCABA credential. Yeah.
So really, it's been our Missouri Southern students are really getting that, we would call it hands-on experience on the TV side, but that opportunity to apply what they're learning.
Yes.
Yeah, and that not only is crucial in the certification when it comes to behavior analysis, but I think too, it's just giving them multiple opportunities to work with these individuals, to work with different behaviors, to work in different environments, to collaborate with different departments. And so we've been talking with kinesiology departments, saying, what could we possibly do? Working with teacher ed and coming up with these certifications and saying, what can we offer your students and what can your students offer this clinic setting, and seeing kind of how that can help different areas as well as just grow our program, and also giving them I mean, the fact that you can take a class in a practicum and have a certification and go out and work at all these different facilities that are in dire need of technicians and make money, to me, I mean, that's just an exciting opportunity for a student in and of itself, that then also to have multiple other classes to then get other certifications in. I mean, there's only benefits to come from it.
So for students in the psychology department, it's really giving them more opportunities to strengthen what they walk out of here when they, besides just a graduation with a diploma.
Absolutely, yeah. And we see the interest in it, and we just needed to build it. So that's what we've been doing. Yeah.
So the local community agencies that are looking, you mentioned dire need for people, they're going to be looking perhaps at your graduates saying now they're certified, can they come work for us?
Yes, and I think too, even looking at graduate programs, I think the fact that Missouri Southern students are going to be able to go through this program, have these certifications, have gone through these classes, not only prepares them for grad school, but sets them a tier above maybe other applicants, because they've had this process of working at a clinic, they have the certification, and that's just going to set them apart from other applicants when looking at graduate schools.
Right. Of course, that could be very competitive as well, getting into a graduate school. How about the research side? I know sometimes you have students who are interested in research. That prepares them for graduate school as well. Do you see this as an opportunity for you?
Yeah, so our students, the psych students, are still going to have their research sequence that they do as psych majors, and then they'll have specific courses in ABA that address research specific within applied behavior analysis.
Okay, so they can meet their goals in that area, working it together.
Yes, plus I think too, there's just so many different avenues of research that individuals can go into at this clinic. And so to me that's exciting, because I love the research component of it as well, and what can we do not only to serve our community, but to better our field and to better kind of treatments that we're already providing. And so I think this also just provides an opportunity to get students excited about that component that, will help them when they go on to graduate school. And maybe it's just something they help with in this moment right here and now that they just want to be a part of, because that, it is life-changing, and being able to be a part of that process is really beneficial.
Do you see this as setting Missouri Southern aside from other universities having this type of applied program?
Absolutely. I think when we applied for the grants, we have to note places that have similar programs. And there was one that was Northern Missouri at the bachelor's level. So one.
In the state of Missouri.
Yes, in the state of Missouri. So that will have this credential, and and to serve this area of Missouri, I think. And to have a clinic is pretty special. At institutions.
To have that on a campus for a university sets it apart for the services that are provided. So how do you envision bringing in the students or the youngsters who will be involved for this program? I mean, we may be having people watching saying, well, I might be interested in that. What's going to be the priority? What do you envision as a process to get people involved with it?
Well, I think first and foremost, we'll just, get the word out that this is even happening, that we have a clinic, and we'll be able to provide services and what those services look like, and just kind of generating a wait list of even interest of individuals who would be wanting to come to the clinic. I think with students, I know for the ABA courses, they'll be spending a lot of time hands-on in the clinic working with those individuals. Right. So I know that the students will have those requirements within the coursework to be in the clinic working, applying the different concepts that we're talking about in class with the individuals that are being clients at the clinic.
And when we look at childcare, we hear so much about just a need in general for quality childcare. So this program, this grant, is also helping the Lion Cub Academy and the need in our community and our campus for just services for children as well.
Yeah, and I think too with that, the Lion Cub Academy is, it's massive. What they're offering right now is so crucial to our community, and what we're going to be able to do is not only expand those numbers to work with more individuals, but we're also going to be expanding the hours too, so focusing more on after school hours. So maybe if parents can't get their children to quality services during the daytime, they could then come to us after hours, as well as hopefully having those additional hours, we'd be able to serve more individuals as well. So
expanding the services just by being able to expand the hours and so forth. So have you seen a consistent growth in your majors, your interest in number? Everybody wonders about numbers in departments, so this seems like something that's going to continue to grow for you. We always have interest in psychology. Psychology tends to be a popular major. And this, I think, is going to, having the program is going to
increase the numbers simply because the program now exists, because it's going to be specialized. Maybe they would have came to Missouri Southern anyways because they had an interest in ABA, but now they're really going to come because we have an emphasis in ABA. So yeah, I think we'll see an uptick in our numbers because of the program. Yeah.
So with the more Missouri Southern students, the more you can serve the youngsters or the people in the program.
Yes. All the hands we can get. That's always the crucial key, is having quality therapists who can work with these individuals. And so to me, I loved it because when I was a student and we had a clinic on campus that I could work at in grad school, I was able to not only better understand what I was learning in class, but I grew as an individual too. And being able to, patience is key, and you learn that very quickly working in some of these kind of clinic sessions. And so I think it'll just be beneficial for our students. And I think too, having that clinic is going to just draw a lot of people's attention to Missouri Southern. And so I think the university as a whole will get a lot of positive attention for not only our growth in this expansion, but also different ways we are serving our students and serving our community.
So as faculty, will you be the mentor or the advisor or working with the students who are in the clinic in many cases?
Yes, I'm planning on probably spending every day in the clinic. I'm so excited for that. So I would assume, but who knows, maybe with the growth, there may be other opportunities for other individuals to come in and work in that clinic facility as well.
Is this something that you see, I would say, upper level students involved with? I mean, a lot of students come and they'll take those basic core classes their first couple of years, and then they can get into these type of operations?
I think they can start really early. The entry level ABA course, they can start just after having general psych. So I think this is something that our incoming freshmen might have an interest in, and then all the way up to our seniors will be participating in.
And we hear a lot, even on a college campus, about career exploration. Do you see opportunities for students to say, well, I've been thinking about this for a career, but I'm not sure. Is this going to give them an opportunity to see if that would tie into their goals?
Oh, yeah.
And right hands-on. If they are interested in ABA, they can go to the clinic and see what that is about. And
whether it's just them coming in and using one of the observation rooms to see what a session actually looks like, and just getting that, because maybe they just want to see and kind of test it out and feel the waters without actually being in a session room. And then maybe it's something where they want to be hands-on, they want to give it a try, they want to see what it's like in person. So I think there'll be different opportunities to kind of explore what the field is, as well as opportunities to help in managing caseloads and being in charge of documentation and paperwork, and what do you do if this happens, and how do we do scheduling? So you really get all the different components of what a clinic entails, which I think would be such an amazing opportunity for any student who's interested in possibly the field of behavior analysis, as well as working with individuals who maybe have some sort of diagnosis.
So those skills are what they will need if they're going out to look for the job. They're not learning on the job, they're learning here before they go to that job.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you mentioned, working in a clinic, how this, with example of how this affects the children who are involved. Have you seen some success stories, or your experiences, without giving names, but just how it made a difference maybe in the life of a child of having this type of environment?
Yeah. So for me personally, there were two that not only was it life-changing for them, but it also was for me. And the first was a client that just would repeat back everything I would say. It was either that or singing Frozen songs. So I got really good at singing Frozen. But we just could not, and it took months and months and months to finally get this individual to kind of come up with her own words and to answer questions without having to repeat back. And it was during the middle of a session when I started choking, and the client stopped playing, looked up at me and said, "Ayla, are you okay?" My eyes got big. I started like hooting and hollering. I ran out and said, "Oh my gosh, you won't believe it. They just said this." And the parents were excited. We were going wild. To me, that's huge. And to some people, they might say, well, that's such a minor thing. Like, that's really, like, they said one sentence. No, that's huge for an individual who hasn't been able to have independent, speech, and has only been echoing what other people have said, or has been on such a script. That's huge. And so really that to me was to me showed me the power of what ABA is and what we can do with it, and how not only we're changing the lives of these individuals, but their families, and thinking about everyone who works and comes in contact with them, as well as ourselves, because to me, I will always cherish that moment. And that to me was kind of that light bulb moment of, I can do this. Like, I can actually do this. I can make a change. Like, this stuff actually works. And so that kind of pushed me forward in my studies and wanting to do more and figuring out better ways of working with these individuals. So to me, that's one of the greatest moments a student could have in their studies, is to have that one-on-one moment or group moment with those individuals and seeing that this works, and that's truly what they want to do, and pursuing that further.
That's a success stories, reinforcing what they want to do. Yes. You mentioned working with families. Do you see that this is also an opportunity not only with the children, but to provide services for the families, what they can do when the child goes home, or what it's not just school. You just learn in the classroom. You have opportunities outside of that as well.
Yeah, and that's one of the parts of our design for the new renovated building, is to actually have like a parent resource consult room, so that we can work with the parents on what to do, not only in the clinic, but when the kiddos leave and head home or are at school, what are different strategies. And I hope too that we eventually will be able to even offer like parent trainings and workshops, that then even if they don't have a child who maybe has challenging behaviors or maybe deficits in learning, maybe they're just someone in the community who wants to help, and so they want to come and learn these skills as well. So I hope that we can also offer that not only to parents, but also other individuals who are just interested in helping everyone succeed.
So that need for people who perhaps are even just volunteering or helping out that way, and serving the programs. Yeah. So people who are interested in the program, how do they find out more information? Your goals of getting them on board to start this program.
Yeah. So really, if it's someone that's interested in pursuing ABA, contacting myself or Ayla, talking to us about the program, the courses, what it's going to entail, and also the psych degree in general, because you're not just doing ABA, you're getting a full psych degree. Right. So chatting with us about the program, I think, would be the first step.
And if somebody's watching and say, well, when I have a child, I'm interested in doing this, what kind of timetable might they be looking at? You're hearing about it today.
Timetable, so the plan is that the funds will start being dispersed for the grants in the next month. So we'll start renovations, and the ultimate goal would be having the clinic finished, the renovations completed mid-spring semester, so that we can then add anything else that we need to the facility and have an opening come fall 2021.
Great. So that gives you time to work it out, get things in place, and recruit the people involved and so forth. So some of your current students in the program could very well be working with the center next year.
Oh yes,
yes.
yeah. And hopefully maybe other students who watch this too, who are just interested in possibly working with this population, or just wanting to know kind of what is behavior analysis, how do you change behavior, what do they mean by that, even just reaching out to ask about that, or even possibly coming to the clinic to see it in action. Because to me, you can sit and listen to someone talk about it all day long and never truly understand it, but when you see it in action, to me that's when it really kind of clicks. So even if individuals want to see it in action, I think that'll be a great opportunity for them to do so.
So obviously we're psychology majors, but other majors could tie over their areas of interest in supporting
Absolutely, yeah. We're particularly, because we're just in the School of Ed, and Keneson education fits majors. Very well, but there's other majors that I think could benefit from the ABA,
Well, I'm sure it's been a long road for planning and preparation, and you mentioned the CARES funding, which was probably 7 months ago. It didn't exist. We were in a world where you didn't know what was happening. Right. So your reaction when you found out that those funds were granted?
Oh well, yeah. I was actually by myself, and I didn't have anybody to celebrate with. So yeah, I had to celebrate in my office until people showed up, so I could go and tell them about it. I know I texted Ayla.
I guess we've got it.
And I didn't know because I was off doing something and wasn't looking at my computer, and I see Holly's text, and I was like, no, this can't be real. And so I go on and I see it. I started screaming. My boyfriend was freaking out of what's happening, and I was like, we got the money, we got it. Because I think especially now in this time frame, everything is just so unknown of what's going on, when will things be open, what's actually going to get funded, what's not. So the fact that we got it, we'll have it, this clinic can actually be made and opened, in a year's time frame. it's just huge. It's huge.
So it's really benefiting, as we said, the university and the students and the people who will be using the facility, and
Yeah.
tying that together.
And especially for the community, like that's the biggest thing. And to me, that's kind of the driving factor of all of this is giving back to our community. Like when I heard that there are wait lists of up to 500 children waiting to get ABA services and having to wait years and years and years to be able to actually get those services, to me that's gut wrenching, because those individuals need services now.
Right.
And so to me, being able to give back and say, here's what we can do, let us help, and just giving back in whatever way, shape, and form we can is kind of the biggest thing we truly can do. And then having this opportunity for students obviously is important as well.
Right. So if we were to meet a year from now and following up after things, what would be your ideal situation? A year from now, the center's open, you're doing things, what would you like to be able to describe at that time?
The first word that comes to mind is joy. Like, I just want it to be a joyful place. Like, I want it to be where, obviously I love what I do and I'm very excited about this, but I want everyone else to feel that same passion and joy and kind of inclusivity and opportunity that I feel when I see this clinic and when I see the opportunities that can come from it. And so I really just hope that in a year from now, we have that we have it packed full of clients, that we have it full of kids yelling, screaming, having fun, that we have it with parents who are coming in who maybe are just burnt out and need help, and we can be that for them, or whatever support system they need. And so that, to me, I just want it to be a joyful, colorful, kind of fun place that everyone comes to see that opportunity and to get whatever it is they need.
So you're not only changing a facility through the fundings and developing a program, you're just changing lives as well, tying that together.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank both of you for being on the program with me today and sharing some information for our audience. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
And I'd like to thank you for joining me this week on Newsmakers. I'm Judy Stiles. I'll see you again next week at the same time on this station. We'll see you then.